I've been using Android phones for pretty much as long as I can remember. My first smartphone was the Samsung Galaxy S3 Mini, running Android 4.4 KitKat. And through those years, I switched between about 8 phones and several different brands like Samsung, LG, Huawei, Xiaomi, and even some less known Chinese brands. I've loved all the amazing features of Android and of course its affordable price, so I never really considered switching, and looked at iPhones as overpriced, feature lacking, and just plain useless. But that all changed about 3 months ago when I switched to the iPhone 13. And honestly, the experience has been really interesting. So was I right about the iPhone after all, or is it the best smartphone you can buy today? Let's find out in this video. This video has been brought to you by The Ridge Wallet. They produce premium quality wallets and key cases that make carrying cash, cards, and keys much easier. The wallet holds up to 12 cards, and it also comes in 30 different colors and styles, including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. They are made out of durable material, which means that every wallet comes with a lifetime warranty. And it also has built-in RFID blocking technology that protects you from digital pickpockets. The key case fits up to 3 keys, and you can also attach more to the little ring on the bottom. I've been using both the wallet and the key case for the past week, and I must say I've really enjoyed them. My previous wallet was very bulky and it would never fit in my pocket properly, but with the Ridge wallet, everything fits as it should. The link to buy the wallet and the key case is in the description of the video, and you can use my code GHUB for a 10% discount. Thank you so much to the Ridge wallet for sending me their products and sponsoring this video, and let's finally get started. So the Android I switched to the iPhone from is the Redmi Note 9 Pro, which came out in April 2020. The iPhone 13 came out in September of 2021, so it is more than a year newer than the Android. Because of that, I'm not going to just look at the hardware specs and say the iPhone is better, because of course it is. But I'm going to be comparing some of the standout features of Android and seeing if Apple does it better or worse. So let's take a look at our first category, which is hardware. The unboxing experience of the iPhone is pretty average, but it does have a premium feel to it. The only thing you get in the box is the phone itself and the lightning cable. With my Redmi, I even got a silicone case in the box, and with the iPhone, you don't even get a charging brick. The iPhone also needed to be updated to the latest version of iOS out of the box, so I did that in the settings. The iPhone is rocking a 6.5-inch Super Retina display, with the max resolution of 1170 by 2532. The famous notch covers a portion of the top of the screen, and inside it is a speaker grille and a 12-megapixel front-facing camera and microphone. The entire phone is made of glass and metal, and the sharp edges make it feel really premium in hand. I'd also say that it is really sturdy, and it has absolutely no plastic included in the build, which is very different from most Androids. For example, my Redmi had a plastic volume rocker on it, and it ended up breaking about a year and a half after I bought it. It was still functional, but it is quite annoying since the button would sometimes get stuck down and not work. On the right side, the iPhone has a power button, and on the left it has 2 separate buttons for volume up and down, as well as a mute switch, which I admit is very handy. On the bottom, we find a single lightning port for charging and data transfer. I do still prefer USB-C over Lightning, but I got used to it. And finally on the back, we find 2 cameras at 12 megapixel each. The entire back portion of the phone is made strictly of glass, so a case is definitely recommended. The camera bump also does stick out quite a bit, so a case will also help you out with that. Overall, I'd say that the build quality of the iPhone is very clean and premium, and I must say that I also enjoy a smaller phone since my old one was 6.7 inches. But as I said, I can't really fairly compare the two because the Redmi was 2 to 3 times cheaper than the iPhone, and it is also more than a year older. So now that we covered the iPhone's build quality, let's go over to the software features. So let's start with the features I like on the iPhone, and then later we'll go over the ones that I actually miss from Android. Number 1 is camera integration. Yes, the good old camera, the thing every Apple fanboy mentions as a main selling point of every iPhone ever made. But now that I tried it, there really is a big difference. And it's not because of the hardware, but mostly because of the software. If you own an Android, you know that every time you open Snapchat, the camera quality is miles worse than in the regular camera app, and same can be said for WhatsApp and Instagram, since the pictures taken through those apps are pretty much useless. You might also be familiar with the feeling of desperately trying to focus the camera on a certain object and the picture still comes out as blurry. But with the iPhone, all of those issues are pretty much non-existent. The camera is very snappy and easy to use in every app, and it is really easy to just take the phone out of your pocket and snap a great picture in seconds. Even if you have shaky hands or the lights are a bit dim in the area, the pictures still come out as detailed and clear. Of course, if you have a more expensive flagship Android, some of those issues might be fixed, and you can also argue that all of the camera apps on Android actually have way more features than the ones on the iPhone, but in my opinion, they never really get to the same level of reliability as the iPhone. The camera really is a huge plus, and it is extremely simple and satisfying to use. Another thing I really like about the iPhone is how fast and lag-free it is. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not like my previous phone lagged on every app and was unusable, but I definitely have noticed bugs and lag way more on Android than I did on iOS. For example, my Android phone needed to be restarted at least once a week because some very strange things would occur, like the microphone not working for phone calls or the entire phone would just randomly freeze. Again, those issues might be exclusive to my particular phone, but with pretty much every phone I had, I experienced similar issues. Even with the newest flagship at the time, which was the Samsung Galaxy S6. The point is, the iPhone just works. Nothing ever slows down, and all of the apps work exactly as intended. My Android would also slow down if you had more than, let's say, 10 or 15 apps open at the time, which is definitely not the case with the iPhone. The reason for all of that is probably the fact that iOS is made for only one phone, and Android runs on hundreds of different phones from different manufacturers with different specs and skins. In the few months of using this iPhone, I have never had an app crash on me, lag, or slow down while I'm using it. So I must say that Apple really got that right. The exclusive Apple features are also a big selling point of the iPhone. It has amazing connectivity with other Apple products such as the AirPods or the Apple Watch, and you really don't need to go through any of the tedious setups to get any of those working. The feature I actually tested out myself though is Apple Pay, and it is amazingly simple and reliable. You just add your card to the app, and every time you want to pay by card, just double click the power button, confirm your identity with Face ID, hold the phone near the card reader, and you're done. And that is just extremely simple and handy if you don't have access to your wallet at all times. And it also works the same way for paying for things in the App Store, which is quite cool. And while I'm on the topic of Face ID, it is also an amazing feature, and it is much more reliable than the Face Unlock feature that some Androids have. In my opinion, it is even more reliable than the fingerprint reader, especially if you're wearing gloves or something else. Now, let's go over some of the features that I actually miss from Android. The first obvious one is customization. On iOS, there is really no third-party apps for customizing your iPhone with things such as icon packs or fonts. The iOS 16 update did add a lot of customization options which really improved things, but it still doesn't come even remotely close to Android. On Android, you can also arrange the icons on your home screen however you'd like, but on iPhone, they just stack to the top of the screen and next to each other by default. The next obvious thing is that you can't download third-party apps from the internet if some of them are not available on the original store, and on iOS there really isn't a way to get third-party apps on your phone even, unless you jailbreak it, which can be very risky. Things in this area have been improving, however, and we might see this feature come to life in the future. Apple likely did all of this in order to protect the user from potential malware, and if you look at it from that point, the iPhone is much safer. If you are a bit old school like me and like to keep MP3 files for music, you can still do that on the iPhone. However, downloading them from the internet can be very tedious, and moving them to the right directory is just simply impossible. And you also do need to get a third-party player like VLC in order to even get them working. I also do miss the USB-C connector because it is much more easier to use than Lightning. In my personal experience, it is quite hard to move files from the iPhone over to my laptop that is running Windows 11 because sometimes the phone isn't even recognized or it just disappears after moving a few files. And lastly, with the iPhone you don't really get anything in the box except for your phone. You only get the phone and the lightning cable, meaning the charger is sold separately and you will have to spend more money. Personally, I don't think this is going to help the environment, and I do truly believe that Apple is just trying to take advantage of their customers. So now that I listed off all of the pros and cons, let's go over my final thoughts. So, do I regret switching from the Android to iPhone? The simple answer is no. The iPhone 13 is an amazing phone that has a lot of features that I found very useful. For day-to-day use, I find the iOS experience miles better than the Android one. The phone is snappier, faster, and easier to use. And even if it's missing some of the features that Androids have, I would personally trade all of those for a better day-to-day experience. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more videos like this one. Also, please check out my Twitter and Instagram and tell me in the comments, do you prefer iPhone or Android, and just list some of your reasons why. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video.